And its main target is the Albanese government. There's no doubt our farmers are under attack. We haven't built a substantial dam in this country for decades. Properties are being vandalised with giant transmission towers to connect wind and solar to the grid. The big input costs for farmers, energy, diesel, fertiliser and more, well, they keep going up. In fact, Australia now imports most of its fertiliser because our gas prices, which is absolutely needed to make fertiliser, they're too high.
Shame, shame, shame.
Basic infrastructure, if you know anyone who lives in the regions, it's degrading. The good news, though, our farmers are standing up for themselves. Well, I reckon farmers always have, but now the NFF, the National Farmers Federation, is backing them up, announcing a new campaign called Keep Farmers Farming. And its main target is the Albanese government. What is this? I'm filled with a bit of hope here, but what's this new campaign, Graham, all about?
Well, good evening, Peter. It's a significant development. I think the National Farmers Federation, like a lot of industry bodies, has been happy to walk along with government over recent years on the net zero approach. And suddenly they've lifted their head and discovered that they've really lost touch with their membership. Live sheep exports are being banned. There's all sorts of other issues with industrial relations, the net zero transition with transmission lines and other things, that their members are unhappy. And the NFF has decided, well, it's going to go in and fight for them.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
Really, when you look at what's happening with the mining lobby groups as well, this is a big pushback to government agenda.
I honestly think it could be a game changer, because what has turned the debate about renewables, I mean, no one believes that they're cheap and all the stuff the governments have said, and we'll get to that in a moment in relation to Victoria, but what's turned, I think, people's attention from these green promises to the practical reality is seeing the rollout of these towers right across prime agricultural land and communities not being properly consulted. The former head of AGL, and he's a power industry veteran, Michael Fraser, has said today that we need a reality check on these net zero targets. He says we're way behind schedule. He said we're headed to a return to the 1970s when state-backed power networks had all of those chronic blackouts. I mean, I grew up in the bush and they had a candle beside my bed as a kid. And he says if this happens, public support for the transition will be lost overnight. Chris Bowen, he says it's all going full steam ahead.
Well, that's right. Look, the former AGL boss has joined a raft of industry specialists now to say this renewable energy transition is way off track. And it's not just a matter of not meeting the targets, it's a matter of not having the resources in place when coal is retired from the system. And public support for this transition is going to vanish very, very quickly when that happens. I think there's a lot of survey material that shows that support for net zero is wide, but it's not very deep. And I think the government needs to draw some lessons from the Voice referendum on this, the disconnect between the elites, if you like, and the great public at large. And it's that great public at large that is bearing the cost and is just going to desert the field if things go badly wrong.